listening to Your Brain on Air. The program will begin shortly. Enjoy.
Tú estás lista o brain porque no quería frontear neta.
Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome back to Your Brain on Air. I am your host, Ollie Vogt Larson. And folks, Mike Lindell, he's sick of the irregularities. He's sick of the tricks. Down on Nicollet Avenue where tricks are for kids, he's sick of it. And he is making it well known, ladies and gentlemen, there's irregularities.
Everybody, hold on.
Hold on.
We just gained 5,000 votes, and we gained 5,000 votes, everybody, and the last 13,000 votes that were counted, we got 5,000, we could gain 5,000 votes. So let's think about this.
Let's think about it.
I got 10,000, and the rest of them got 3,000. If this is a sign, we will have the lead within an hour.
Yep.
I mean, this is big news. This is a big jump.
This is a big jump.
They started counting the day of votes, so.
This is crazy, man. I wish that Chris Farley was still alive. This guy would be so fun on SNL.
Okay. All right, everybody.
All right.
How many other questions?
I think I'm good.
If the AP calls the race for Lisa David in the next half hour, will you concede?
If who does?
If the AP calls the race.
What is the AP? The voters. But the AP, why would I listen to the AP? There's 265,000 votes left to count.
Yeah.
I'm down by 18,000 now. We just gained 5,000. I'm not going to give up this race until the votes are counted. That's nonsense.
Until the votes are counted?
Until the votes are counted where I can't win.
Man.
Why would I call it now? Should I say it again? Now there's 264,000 votes left to count.
Well, okay, let's just make it very clear. Lisa Damoth secured it. She got 43.4% of the vote with 179,684 votes. Mike Lindell, he is lagging a teensy bit behind. You could say that that's the gentle way to put it at 134,282. That's it's only 40,000 or so a difference. You know what I mean? Kendall Qualls, if they did like the second ranked choice voting or whatever, maybe some people who like Kendall Qualls also really like Mike Lindell, and all his votes can go to Mike, and then that'll make up the difference, ladies and gentlemen. We wish Frankie Valli well. He is 92 years old and he looks frail. There's images coming out right now from, I believe this is the Sun Media and the U.S. A corporate branch of the Sun, and Frankie Valli, he's getting out of a car. And I love this guy. This is Jersey boy, you know what I mean? And he's got bruises on his arms. He's going in a wheelchair. And honestly, this is, we hope that he gets well soon. He abruptly canceled his farewell tour. I don't know what that means. You know what I mean? He could have canceled for any reason. Maybe one of his great-grandchildren's graduations were happening in, August. It could have been the case. People plan their parties for any time during the summer. You know what I mean? As long as it's past graduation before the start of the next year. It's perfectly within reason to have your graduation party between those 3 months. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm not trying to make excuses for him. I know he needs to get back up there and sing like a Five Nights at Freddy's animatronic. It's what he does. It's what his residency. It's not going to pay for itself. You know what I mean? I don't know where he's living these days. I assume that it's still in Las Vegas. Ladies and gentlemen, our first major story that we're going to cover, we're going to jump right into it because the people of Minnesota are scared. They're nervous. They're shaking in their beds at night. They call for their mothers. They really there's true genuine fear. Your heart will beat out of your chest, like pulling the covers over your head because they're the only thing that'll save you from the monsters that are out there. That is how scared most Minnesotans are right now, and rightfully so. There was a man who fatally stabbed his wife and their 7-year-old daughter at a Minnesota daycare that was owned by the couple before taking his own life Wednesday. This was, I don't know where in Minnesota this is. This looks like a little tiny place right outside of the Twin Cities.
This is where a man fatally stabbed his wife and their 7-year-old daughter before killing himself.
Hopkins, Minnesota. Yeah, what are you going to do?
Children at the daycare owned by the deceased couple were not harmed, according to local authorities.
So he just wanted to kill himself and his child. He was and his wife, but all other 6 children that got to witness the murder-suicide, he was, gracious enough to just leave them with the trauma.
We were able to get them out of the daycare and reunify them with their parents.
Look at what you did, man.
This time, there's no outstanding threats in the community.
Police believe the man also killed a 78-year-old relative at her home prior to the attack at the daycare. Authorities say they are working to determine the motive.
You know, sometimes people go a little nutty. Sometimes we'll talk about that with John Hinckley Jr. He's spoken out recently. He's wishing Jodie Foster well. Look at that. Maybe he's actually made some progress in jail. Ladies and gentlemen, the people of Minneapolis, the people of Minnesota in general, neighborhoods across Minneapolis are still on high alert. Residents are, their voices are growing in frustration. The fear of the youth violence, the disruptive street gatherings, the local leaders and the police departments ignoring it all. Across the Twin Cities metro area, there's teen takeovers happening every other weekend. There's large groups of teenagers using their social media platforms to organize these massive assemblies in public parks, commercial districts, residential streets, anywhere, like public pools, like mass delinquency events. And that's exactly what they're having to deal with. They're having to deal with youth gangs. Their teenagers are, debating whether or not they want to join the Latin Kings. And it's like, hey, you're a white kid named Leon. I really don't think you have a chance with them, but you're better off going with the skinheads. And that's you as a mother in Minneapolis. You want your child to become a skinhead because then at least he'll have a chance to walk around the streets with a gang that'll, they'll defend him a little bit. You know what I mean? He'll have a family out there in the streets. In parts of southeast Minneapolis, property owners report feeling trapped in their own homes as spontaneous crowds descend on their blocks, sometimes resulting in open chaos, property damage, and armed confrontations. Yes. Because that's bound to happen when you got a lot of folks that are feeling a little wild. You're going to have 8-year-olds caught in the crossfire because some 18-year-old dissed some other 18-year-old's shoes, ladies and gentlemen. Local law enforcement, urban policy experts are saying that this is fueled by viral coordination. Hundreds of young people are going on Instagram, Snapchat, any of those sort of places. Many of teenagers attend simply looking for social outlets. Local officials are still warning that these gatherings can rapidly escalate into dangerous environments. Authorities are pointing to the post-pandemic scarcity of dedicated youth spaces, combined with online incentives for risky behavior, as driving factors behind why these meetups are frequently spiraling out of control. Well, yeah. In Minneapolis, you got a lot of the street cred gangs. You got a lot of the people where it's like, unfortunately, I don't like that fella at school. He's running with my girl or something like that. Maybe it's literally like high school drama these people are killing over. And unfortunately, with the Somali gangs in particular that they talked about, they go through their social medias. Most of the time, it's out of like a diss. It's out of disrespect. It's out of just like the old school 90s, like you dissed me. Now you're gonna die. Literally, like, I'm going to put metal into your head. It's gonna stop your cerebral cortex from firing. You're gonna drop to the ground, and you're gonna make this weird like as your body struggles to try to keep itself alive. That is the energy now in Minneapolis. A lot of people like it. They like it because they don't do anything about it. That's at least the people who sit on the city councils, the town councils, all of those places where, the rich people, they need something to do because they're bored. They're tired of doing drugs in their house, their big house with 10-foot ceilings, and it's those beautiful homes where you can see the shape of the roof. They have that like triangle design and whatnot. They're tired of sitting in log cabins next to their lake, and they're like, well, local politics sounds kind of interesting. I already get enough of a power trip through the HOA. He takes a nice little drag off of a cigar. He's like, I'm already a bit of a megalomaniac. Why don't I try this out? But like, I don't know. I run for like a little, maybe I run for mayor or something like that. That's just like a fun little side hobby. But I'm not going to be concerned about actually lowering crime. I'm not going to be concerned about addressing the concerns of the people. We'll institute juvenile curfews. We'll increase some police monitoring on social media. We'll increase our surveillance state. We'll get more contracts with Palantir. We'll establish more rapid response units that are going to go sleep on the job and whatnot. Youth advocates, fuck them. The violence intervention groups, we're going to try to make sure that their statements don't mean very much. Enforcement alone is going to take care of the problem. I don't care if you say it's insufficient. I don't care if you are going to call for greater investment in like, oh, we need late night community programs. We need safe recreation centers. We need active mentorship programs to give young people constructive alternatives to living on the street. Not happening. You bleeding heart. Unfortunately, we're going to arrest these kids. We're going to go to their house to make sure that the parents aren't fucked up. If they are, these kids are going into CPS. You know what I mean? It's gonna be rough, unfortunately. These Child Protective Services is going to have a good time these next few years because there's going to be a lot of troubled youths. There's a lot of troubled youths out there, unfortunately. It's tough.
A growing number of U.S. cities are trying to crack down on so-called teen takeovers. So this is when large crowds of young people gather in a public place, often in response to online invites. Some of these events have ended with violence, arrests, and even deadly shootings. One major city is now considering a strict curfew to keep the kids away. Mark Strassman looks at the trend that's getting out of control.
Fireworks launched into crowds and at police as a 4th of July celebration in Newport Beach, California turned chaotic. Hundreds of young people arrested. Fights, vandalism, arrests. Scenes like this are playing out across the country at so-called teen takeovers.
You know what's really fun is that they're going to have the electric gloves soon. Police units are getting those. Like, I know that people are just trying to go, it's ICE, it's immigration services, it's federal agents. No, local police, like metro, if you live in a metro area, which is kind of like, you know, you just have an ordinary police force, they're going to also have it. They're going to be taking down people that are resisting arrest. You know, if you're resisting your DUI, you're not going to get tased the old traditional way like your grandpa or your mom did. You're going to have an officer just grab your shoulder and you're going to fall onto the ground because it's going to deliver like 300, 3,000, 30,000, however many they want volts to you. It's going to be fun.
In a section of southeast Minneapolis say they're being held hostage by groups of teens with guns.
As Rich Chapman reports, they say they feel like they're living in a war zone.
Minneapolis.
Stone Arch Bridge is what condo owners here have grown to expect. But lately, when the sun goes down Thursday night, groups of teens fill the street. They're stopping right there at the intersection.
You don't just stop at an intersection, but look at all the people that are getting out of one car going into other cars in this commercial parking along the front of Middlematic.
Brian Bender placed cameras outside his condo to catch the action.
Ooh.
So he's shooting into the car.
Yeah, oh yeah.
Shootings and the use of fireworks. He estimates between 150 and 200 teens each night use the streets outside his condo as a playground for dangerous activities.
The police come down, I text message them. I don't even call the police anymore, I send them text messages. And they'll come and they'll go in their microphone and yell at them, you can't be here, you can't park here, you gotta go home. Mind you, while they're saying that, a vehicle with girls hanging out the top of it will drive through a stop sign and whip past them and yell at them.
Bender says he heard the gunshots and saw the aftermath of the shooting that claimed the life of an 18-year-old.
Where are these kids getting, like, the cars? That's my question. I understand they're probably stealing their parents' car. Their parents are probably drunks and whatnot. It's a lot of Minneapolis people, unfortunately. A lot of people's parents, they're like going to sleep, with a drink in their hand every night. Unfortunately, it's a lot of Minnesota. It's a big drinking culture. So yeah, there's a lot of inactive parents. There's a lot of parents that are kind of barely there. They're going to bed before their kids a lot of the time and whatnot. And then the kids, they stay up and they're like, well, fuck it. What am I going to do? Sit and play Angry Birds? Or am I going to, go online and do Xbox and yell the N-word at each other? I'm good. Why do any of that when I can take my parents' Jeep or their like Ford Explorer and I can have a couple of my friends hang out the windows on the side, and if I accidentally, like, I'm going too fast and I flip the car, I can, kill a couple of my friends and go to jail.
Right outside his condo.
I have camera footage of an officer coming by 5 minutes before that shooting and yelling at them. 5 minutes.
Councilperson Mike Rainville says he is...
Back in my day, kids just used to, like, play the choking game. You know when your buddy used to put their hand on your sternum and choke you out and kill a couple of your brain cells, but it felt like a little mini trip, or like you felt like you just passed out and had this, like, a touch moment with God, or like the spirit realm, or like the blue whale game. You know what I mean? Like, back in my day, kids just went online and killed themselves and, like, wrote the number that the person requested and, like, sent images of themselves and, like, got their lives ruined and whatnot. That's how kids hurt themselves back in the 2010s. You know what I mean? Sure, there was the occasional juvenile delinquency. There was the occasional big, whatever, where the kids got into a big fight at school or something. But otherwise, it wasn't, teen takeovers weren't huge back in the 2010s. It was mostly like if you were like a delinquent kid, if you were just like a piece of shit, you stole your parents' alcohol and you talked to some 30-year-old who like told you to cut yourself on the internet, like during the, that's what the 2010s were. sure, it was a peak time to be a child. You know what I mean? Unfortunately, you were just so open and susceptible to ways to harm yourself, especially if your parents didn't care about what you were doing on the internet. There was like chat rooms for you to go in. It was just it was a dangerous time. This is exactly why I think like under 16 ban on social media. Well, it has like its messy parts where because now you have to confirm your ID with your actual physical government ID. That's messy. It's got privacy risks and whatnot. It's still, I don't know. I just don't feel right about the idea of people under the age of like 16, because I grew up with so many people in middle school, even like 13, 14-year-old girls who like cut routinely and whatnot. And they're like, me and my boyfriend stayed up all night on Discord last night and we watched a movie and something like that. And he told me how much he loved me. How old's your boyfriend? 22. Like, what are we even talking about right now? That's just a reality for a lot of this world and a lot of this country. But nowadays, kids, they're done with the groomers. You know, they're not as stupid as Gen Z, where like they're kind of stupid. They're still like the catch a predator situations where it's not an actual police officer, it's an actual 14-year-old girl. They're still idiots and whatnot, but you couldn't blame them. They're children who have been given unmitigated access to the internet. They're gonna do some stupid shit, unfortunately, especially if they're, you know, fucked up. You know that the people who are the types that are in those chat rooms, they do not have a good family life. I'm telling you, the people that would like tell me that like me and my boyfriend sat up all night and cut ourselves, those people don't have good family lives. Those people's parents, they're passing out most of the time. They're on pills, they're on alcohol, they're avoiding their kids and whatnot, and they're letting the internet raise them. Ladies and gentlemen, I watched the internet ruin so many of my friends, unfortunately. And that was the 2010s version. That was the Gen Z version of the internet ruining your life. It was talking to somebody who was twice your age and like them having photos of you and them being like, I'm going to send this to everybody you know if you stop talking to me or whatnot. And then the police get involved and whatnot. That's how Gen Z got in trouble with the police. It was through chat rooms. And it was threatening to kill yourself and whatnot, and then getting the police called on you. That was how Gen Z got involved with the police. Nowadays, Gen Alpha and the younger Gen Z, they're advanced. They're going, hey, instead of just being stupid and like risking our lives on the internet for like a fleeting moment of like a feeling like an adult, let's go out and feel like actual adults. Let's go steal our parents' car. Let's go meet people at the park, and let's go run away from cops.
Aware of what is happening and is working with officials to see how to stop it. He plans to meet with Somali violence interrupters to see how they can help.
I'm just trying to make my block safe for me, my dog, and my fellow condo owners.
Law enforcement say this is not...
That's the thing, is that he has nothing better to do because he doesn't have any children or anything to distract himself with. So he's like, I'm going to be the neighborhood safety guy.
The issue in Minneapolis is happening across the metro. St. Paul, Bloomington, Burnsville, and Columbia Heights are all working to stop groups of teens from gathering and shattering the silence of metro area neighborhoods. In Southeast Minneapolis, with photojournalist Chris Cruz, Rich Chapman, WCCO News.
Well, Columbia Heights, Minneapolis, best of luck to you. Oh, yeah, and you got a first look at your 2027 budget plan for the city and whatnot. Jacob Fry, he's proposing an 11.3% property tax increase to address the $60 million budget gap, apparently. How do you fuck that up so badly? You're going to have to lay people off.
The challenge in Minneapolis, how to fill a $60 million gap in the city's budget. With tax increases alone, Mayor Jacob Fry says he would have to raise property taxes by more than 19%.
Oh.
To lower that number, he's recommending a more balanced approach.
Before asking residents to pay another dollar, we have to ask ourselves whether we're spending every dollar as effectively as we can.
Fry's proposal includes an 11.3% tax increase, about $34 a month for the average family, and cuts to city programs, and eliminating 100 city jobs.
Oh, how
Council
nice.
members have a wide range of opinions on the mayor's budget. Many were uncomfortable with such a high property tax increase.
I'm going to dig really deep to find out how that number came about, and I'm going to be looking for further cuts, too.
8% average increase since 2018, 2019 was the average, and that's just not sustainable for any resident, for any business.
Who's living in the Twin Cities still? Honestly, I'm debating as to whether or not anybody is still calling it home. Anybody with half a functioning brain. These people are like I want to wear an old money outfit every day, and I want to jog through the park with my buddies. I want to do Bible study every day with my roommates. These are what we would call Protestant queers in hiding, but it's still a thing. You know what I mean? These are the majority of the people that are living in Minneapolis and deciding to call it home still.
In just a few hours, Minneapolis Mayor Jacob Jacob Fry will unveil his 2027 city budget. And according to those who have seen it, it could mean some bad news for residents. Here's what we know. Right now, the city is facing a $33 million budget gap. To help close it, the mayor is reportedly looking at laying off more than 100 city employees, the city's first major layoff in 16 years.
16 years, ladies and gentlemen. If you want to call it home, if you want to try out Minneapolis and you're willing to brave the prices, give it your best shot. You know what I mean? Speaking of giving things your best shot, I want to talk about a story that has touched my heart ever since I heard it, because this is a story of true love. It's a story of true dedication. It's a story that it has inspired, I would say, generations. It happened in 1981, so I think it has had time to reverberate and whatnot throughout the ages and inspire the generations and millions, possibly billions. John Hinckley Jr., the man who shot President Ronald Reagan in 1981, he's made new revelations about the aftermath of the assassination attempt. In a newly released podcast interview, he spoke with the host and producer Mark Joseph. He is now 71 years old. Hinckley revealed that President Reagan actually tried to visit him while he was institutionalized at St. Elizabeth's Hospital in Washington. According to John Hinckley Jr., the hospital directors denied the president's request. They warned that allowing the sitting commander-in-chief to meet with his shooter would probably not be a great idea. During the interview, he also reflected on the acute delusions that drove his actions 45 years ago, specifically his infamous obsession with the Oscar-winning actress Jodie Foster. He recalled believing at the time that Foster would join him following his arrest. I don't know why she didn't. It's a little cold-hearted of her not to join him. He was so dedicated. He was so kind-hearted. He was so loving that he was willing to try to kill the commander-in-chief for her. He was found not guilty by reason of insanity a year later, 1982. He spent decades under psychiatric care before receiving a full unconditional release from federal supervision in 2022. So, he's having a new, a time. He's trying to rebuild his public image as a musician and an author following a publication of his autobiography late last year. Former President Ronald Reagan stated prior to his passing that he had forgiven his attacker. How generous.
45 years after he tried to kill President Reagan, John Hinckley Jr. says he's a changed man.
Not a bad-looking guy.
Dark heart in 1981, and I've overcome that.
In a rare and lengthy interview, the would-be assassin says
he's not a good-looking guy, but he's not a bad-looking guy.
He admired Reagan, but still chose to target him outside the Washington Hilton Hotel.
I just was able to stand there and nobody was even paying attention to me.
A shooting that left Reagan and 3 others seriously wounded. All an attempt, Hinckley says, to get the attention of actress Jodie Foster.
Someone who is, by the way, she is currently 63 or 65. I think she's 63 or so. And he's 71. Not a terrible age gap, but also, he's older and it's kind of creepy.
Who starred alongside Robert De Niro in Taxi Driver, a film where she played an underage trafficked prostitute, and where De Niro's character attempts an assassination.
I wanted to have this union with Jodie Foster.
Hinckley, who's now free after being found not guilty by reason of insanity and spending 3 decades in a psychiatric institution, offering this message for Foster, who he doesn't know.
I wish Jodie well, and hope she has a good life.
The interview revealing and shocking at times, as Hinckley describes a correspondence with serial killer Ted Bundy in the 80s, and similarities he found with Mark David Chapman, who killed John Lennon.
It was a huge thing when John was killed. It kind of just sent me over the edge to where I never came back.
Now at 71, Hinckley has no restrictions on his freedom, and says he spends his days making music and art.
Wow.
Cat paintings.
Cat paintings? My guy, he does cat paintings. Can I buy one of these things?
And art.
I sell my little cat paintings. I certainly don't make a lot of money, but it's enough just to, pay my bills.
Brother, I'm buying one.
Since Jodie Foster has rarely talked about the attack on Reagan. At the time, Foster was just 18, enrolled at Yale and performing in a stage play. She says the event is likely a reason she hasn't done theater since. Speaking in 1981, Foster said she received multiple letters from Hinckley, but never saw or met him.
I want to get back to a normal life as quickly as possible. I'm an actress, and that's what I love doing.
Wow.
Reps for Foster did not comment about this new podcast interview. Hinckley says he believes estrangement from his family at the time led to isolation, depression, and delusions, but says he is now close with his surviving relatives, though he says none of them, including his mother, who he cared for after his release, has ever asked him about the shooting.
Wow.
Yeah.
All right.
Pretty remarkable.
Yeah, on so many levels.
All right, guys, you know what? I'm calling it right now. This is the next Weezer. I think that he's got some real talent. I haven't heard a single word of any of his music yet, but let's give it a shot together, why don't we? This is an original song,
Hello,
apparently.
everybody. Hope you're doing great.
Hi, buddy. How you doing?
Latest original song.
It's an original song called Lonely Dreamer.
I'm just a lonely dreamer.
Whoa.
People say I'm dreaming my life away.
Like...
I'm just a lonely dreamer.
I can already get with the tune.
Love is gone, and now my world is gray.
Oh, man. I like it.
I never had the finer things in life.
This is beautiful.
Never had a home or a loving wife.
Oh, a loving wife like Jodie.
People say I'm dreaming my life away.
Ladies and gentlemen, he will be in the description. I'm putting this song right there if you want to go check it out yourself. I'm subscribed. Let's get him to 100K. He's got 44.5 thousand. We got it, yeah. And 60 videos. And when was his most recent one that he uploaded? 3 weeks ago. He's still going. You know what I mean? Good for him. He's talking about nonviolence 3 weeks ago. Hey, all right, cool. And then I Have No Mouth and I Must Scream original song. Let's hear a teensy bit of that.
Just original songs.
Tell me.
Life can be a nightmare. Life can be a dream.
Whoa.
I have no mouth and I must scream.
Cool, man.
You don't even.
I like it. You know what I mean? He's quoting a Harlan Ellison book. I like the energy. I like Harlan Ellison. I think that he's doing good for himself. John, I'd like to congratulate you. I'd like to invite you on the program. This is incredible work. And people, go support him because he's clearly, let's be honest, Ronald Reagan didn't die. He didn't die. And honestly, I expect to see Tyler Robinson. I expect to see, well, the Trump shooter died. But, I expect to see the guy who tried to kill him at the Florida, the Gulf place. I expect him to be doing, Margaritaville style music in a couple of years. I'm excited for it. Folks, let's talk about this. The rapid fire section of today's headlines. A lot of things you need to know about in order to keep your media diet healthy. But we're going to jump right into it. ICE is getting a new tool. It's called a de-escalation device. We've mentioned it before. It is, they're planning to spend between 10 to 20 million to purchase these electric shock gloves, according to DHS. They expect the gloves to be available to agents around March of next year. And this is coming to your local police departments. Don't even get it twisted.
ICE agents may have a new tool coming, and it's being marketed as a de-escalation device by the company who created it, Compliant Technologies.
Compliant
Stu
Technologies.
With your Valley News Now digital update. Direct with the glove. Now that is what's called the CTG5 Generated Low Output Voltage Emitter, or the GLOVE. It's essentially a glove that's worn by law enforcement agents to gain compliance from combative individuals. Now this video right below me is showing test subjects taking that shock. They first actually function as regular patrol gloves, but there is a switch on it that activates the electricity. The gloves also max out at 380 volts, which is less than a taser, and its main purpose is to distract these individuals from coordinated muscle movement.
But
there's a couple caveats. It is advised that this glove should not stay on an individual for more than 15 seconds and not to be used on high-risk individuals. So anyone from pregnant women, the elderly, severely disabled, or children.
I cannot wait for these these are going to be deployed in schools. They're going to be, you know how school resource officers, they used to have to fight the kids in order to get them out of class? You're just going to watch them walk right in. They're going to be like, Liam, you got to come with us. Unfortunately, we already got your mother on the phone. You know what I mean? She's meeting us in the office. They're just going to grab him by the hand and he's going to fall to the ground. He's going to go limp, and that's going to, you know, unfortunately, it will stop his heart temporarily, but the gloves also act as defibrillators.
We're expecting to roll these gloves out by March of 2027.
That's early.
Now a digital update on Duke Schindler.
Duke Schindler? Do you got a list that I can hear about a little bit? I think that it could be Oscar-winning, ladies and gentlemen. An Illinois man has suffered permanent brain damage after eating contaminated oysters at a steakhouse. So this was a Marine Corps veteran, a strong guy, a retired Illinois firefighter, has now been hospitalized for more than a year with permanent brain injuries allegedly caused by eating raw oysters. I've eaten raw oysters. Unfortunately, I was stupid enough to not realize what I was trying. I was like, oh, people just eat them here in New Orleans, so like I guess I'll try one or whatever, and it tasted gross. It was whatever. He put a little bit of soy sauce or some shit on it. It was this big black guy who cut them open for me, and I was like, it's okay. But apparently these things, you know, they can give you permanent brain damage, so I think I'm good on any raw meats upcoming in my future.
Joe Belgio allegedly went into cardiac arrest, fell into a months-long coma, and suffered permanent brain damage after eating contaminated oysters at Gibson's Steakhouse and Bar in Oak Brook, Illinois, on June 30th, 2025. Belgio's fiancée, Melanie Steyer, said the couple was out celebrating with family when he ate the oysters before he fell gravely ill. The 44-year-old went into cardiac arrest 3 days after eating the oysters, and lost consciousness and oxygen for at least 8 minutes before he was revived, his lawyer Scott O'Sullivan told the outlet. According to the lawsuit, doctors screened Belgio for bacteria and identified several pathogens that attorneys say are associated with shellfish contamination. His lawyers said that Belgio's treating physicians determined a reasonable degree of medical certainty that his illness, heart attack, and subsequent injuries were a result of eating the oysters. Responding to the allegations, Gibson's released a statement to ABC7 Chicago saying there have been no other reported cases of illness. Based on the facts and our internal investigation, there is no evidence to suggest that our establishment caused his health condition. A separate location of the franchise from the one Belgio dined at failed or narrowly passed 1/3 of its annual food safety inspections since 2010. And has even been previously cited for its mishandling of oysters.
Well, okay, that's pretty cut and dry then. Ladies and gentlemen, I don't know what else to say. It's unfortunate. So I kind of want to bring up the energy a little bit. This actually might bring it down a teensy bit. Dwayne The Rock Music. Dwayne The Rock Music. What the fuck am I doing? Dwayne The Rock Johnson has threatened to release a country music career. He is threatening us with this new single called Your Dad, ladies and gentlemen. It's Your Dad. I think it's dedicated to his daughters. Apparently it was in Moana, and it has this distinct country flair. And he's teasing the idea that maybe we have a singing rock on the way. Maybe that's going to be... I didn't think. He has a liquor brand. He has been a seminal figure, not relating to semen, but like relating to like everybody kind of liking him, except for when they don't, when they realize that he has contracts and whatnot that mean that he can't lose in movies or whatever. People lose their flavor for him. When he lies about trying In-N-Out multiple times for the first time, which is a weird thing to lie about, people just kind of lose a flavor for him. But he's always gonna be remembered as this kind of goofy, iconic figure from the 2010s. He kind of lost his flavor in the 2020s. He did movies with Kevin Hart, but otherwise, I can't think of anything else. Some people think of him as like the Fast and Furious guy. I never watched any of the movies, so it's just not for me, ladies and gentlemen. But we're listening to a lot of music today. This is a Music Thursday, not a Music Monday. Let's hear Your Dad from Moana, Voices Across the Ocean. I already very much dislike this kind of bojangly bang, bang. And it just keeps going with the bing, bing, bing. It's not for me. This is insisting upon itself, and I already hate I feel like he's trying to teach me a lesson already. He's a bit pitchy. I'm sorry.
From the moment I held you in my heart, I knew that life would never be the same.
It's not, you know, it's a little slow for my taste. How about we boost up this the playback speed a little bit? Let's do 1.5. I feel like that'll speed this up a little bit.
It'd be filled with love and laughter.
That's better. This is better.
And without me by your side, my loves, you're always on my mind. Now you can move those mountains, sail across the oceans, we'll show the world through. There's nothing you can't do. I'll pray while you're sleeping.
This is so mid.
Watch you while you're dreaming.
Like, I'm not taken by this. I expected to be transported. When a big man sings, I want his chest to echo in his voice. I want his, you know, I want his real presence to carry through. And The Rock has this incredible presence, and he has this great stage presence. None of it carries through in his vocal performance that I'm hearing right now. It's not it.
I hope you understand just how proud I am to be your dad.
Oh my god, this is boring.
That I never knew. You took my heart and you pulled me through.
Pull me through.
I'll be right there when you call for me.
How old are you again?
Throughout our time and eternity. So I'll go move those
He's
mountains.
54. Daughter age. How old are his daughters? Because they look very young. Okay, 24. He's got two more, age 10 and 8? Jesus. Okay, her mother is Dwayne's ex-wife. Okay, so he's had a very productive life. His current wife, Lauren Hashem. I'm pausing this shit. This is boring. Jasmine Leah Johnson and Tiana are his current kids, where they're age 10 and 8. But he has one from his previous marriage and whatnot. So he's been productive, and he's been very, you know, he's had a very organized personal life. Normally, that's always a sign to me. It's like if someone runs through women, if someone runs through men, if they have a bunch of kids from a bunch of different marriages, I'm always like, wow, you must have a really organized and happy personal life. Speaking of your dad, and speaking of fathers, and Perez Hilton has lost custody of his children. His mother has filed for temporary custody, and Perez has agreed. And I believe that, she's a nut, too. Let's make it very clear. These people live together. They're very much influenced by one another, and there's a good chance that she is just as crazy as he is. These children need to be removed from the family, is my main concern.
Perez Hilton has now lost custody of his children.
Good.
His mother has filed paperwork to get temporary custody of all 3 of his children that he had with a surrogate. Perez has agreed and has also signed the paperwork. His mother, Teresita Lavendera, who lives with Perez and his children, has filed for temporary custody of all 3, who are 13, 11, and 8, and Perez voluntarily signed the agreement. He wrote, "I realize by signing this document I'm consenting to the petitioner having temporary legal custody of the minor children, and that such temporary custody is in the best interest of the children. I realize that the custody of my children by the petitioner is temporary, and that I may at any time petition the court to return legal custody to me."
Well, shit. That's not what we want. We want him to never have the ability to reapply. I understand you can apply. That doesn't mean that the court is gonna grant it. The fuck am I saying? I do that. I smash words together. It doesn't mean the court is gonna grant it. But he's allowed to reapply. I'm hoping that they're smart enough to realize this man's just he's not to mention too old to be acting the way that he does. He's not right. He's not right. That boy ain't right.
I understand and acknowledge that I may have to comply with a reasonable transition plan prior to the court returning legal custody to me. Press has also requested to seal the case from public view, saying the respondent in this case is a public figure and the media has been surrounding his home for days on end. The children in this case should not be subjected to any further trauma related to the incidents that are the basis for this petition. Giving his mother temporary custody will allow her to do all the things that are needed for the children. She'll be able to consent to any medical or dental care. She can gain access to any of the medical files or any education records, and she can also make educational decisions and do all other things necessary for the care of the children. His family has given a number of updates on Perez's website about his condition, and the latest said that he's stable in the hospital. He is going to require some sort of surgery in the next few days, and
It's probably fake, guys. Unfortunately, you look at the video, it's like the cuts don't look that deep. He looks like he's just like smearing ketchup all over himself, and he's always been a big fruit phony, and I don't think that anybody else is buying that this is like, oh, everybody gets so worried about him. He's, people kill themselves all the time. And what is he again? A celebrity? When's the last time any of you have heard of this guy? When's the last time that he's made a verifiable difference in the media? Never? Okay, yeah. That's like, okay, he sold t-shirts when Britney lost her mind, and like when, what's his name died? The guy who played the Joker and the gay guy on, well, there's two gay guys in Brokeback Mountain, but not Jake Gyllenhaal, Heath Ledger. When Heath Ledger died, I clapped in order to bring it back. I'm like, this is sparks in my mind. Get them. It's like literally it helps me for some reason to get a thought back in my brain. I hit my hands together because it's like in my mind. I don't know why. It recreates the effect of like flint and steel where you slam them together and you get the spark back. And like, yes, that's not Jake Gyllenhaal. I hit the rocks together a couple times and I got Heath Ledger's name. And that's all he did is that he's just made he's made a couple goofs. He's made a couple, the one video where he was like dancing around singing about chlamydia and whatnot and how he's going to be the first pregnant man. And, he's a performative queer. That's all he's ever been. And performative queers kill themselves a lot. A lot of them just don't have a blog. A lot of them just they don't live in LA and they're not trying to make a name for themselves like Perez Hilton did. He does objectively nothing for most of our lives. He doesn't make music. He does not produce a podcast that's worthy of listening to. He doesn't produce any sort of like movies, television, or media that is in any way stimulating. He doesn't provide any thoughts that are good for you to mill over. He doesn't provide anything. He is a 0 out of 10 human being. He is unrepentant. He is unfortunately a barnacle, and he can be easily scrubbed off the side of a ship. A lot of people just for some reason like to have a lot of barnacles on the sides of the ships because they say it makes it look more seaworthy. Hollywood looks like it has a real reputation if there's a bunch of these blogger types running around sticking microphones in people's faces or whatever. He can kill himself. I don't care. It's cool. People kill themselves all the time. You can't save everybody. And, his children would probably be better off, unfortunately. Unfortunately, I don't like to be the one to tell you that. Ladies and gentlemen, apparently, M&M's, the only thing that's bad for you is the dyes or some shit. Skittles and Starburst and M&M's, they are all trying to take out the artificial food dyes because apparently that's the biggest concern. Not the idea that you're ingesting sugar every day, which is dramatic. It's sick on your heart, your brain health, your brain. If you're a sugar addict, get it under control right now because your brain will betray you in your later years. My grandma had it happen. She ate sugar her entire life and the crystals in the sugar bind it around her brain cells and created just this shrinking effect. Alzheimer's and dementia. There's reconsiderations for the idea that like Eastern, Western medicine, no matter who you debate it with, these people believe that there could be a direct tie to overconsumption of overprocessed sugar and all of this junk and these things, these crystalline structures forming in your head. Ditch it. Ditch the sugar. Don't ditch it all the way if you're one of these really intense addicts. I understand you need a spoonful in your coffee now and then or whatever, but like cut down. Like start to do a little bit of stevia. Even then, just do anything to try to reduce the amount that you intake. Anything is better than nothing. If you can take any reason to, use one less sugar cube, that's a good thing. It's a benefit to your brain health in the future. Folks, Rebecca Jarvis went behind the scenes, this woman from ABC News, to see how the candy giant Mars is planning to change their top-selling candies.
Starting today, M&M's, Skittles, and Starbursts are available without artificial food dyes.
There's no blue ones, though. There's no blue M&M's. There's no blue candies in any. There's no blue Skittles. They are missing the blue colors. Where's the blue?
What is the biggest challenge of changing the colors?
I think it's twofold. I think it's the vibrancy, and I think it's the scale.
Candy maker Mars giving GMA an exclusive look inside their labs and factories across the country to see how the new recipes, incorporating colors found in nature, like beet juice for red, turmeric for yellow, and a combination of those plus spirulina for green, came to be. Obviously, some people like the idea that you're changing the ingredients, but when they pick up an M&M, they want it to look and feel the same as it always has.
We've actually talked to over 13,000 consumers in the...
If your biggest concern when you pick up an M&M is, I want it to taste the same, I want it to be the same chocolatey crunch, I want it to be all of that, you're treating M&Ms too seriously. It's a child's treat.
Past year about this conversation exactly. And the good news is they're really open to the tone, hue changing slightly. What they're absolutely not open to is the taste changing.
So we suited up to put taste to the test in the company's R&D kitchen.
We're going to start with M&Ms. I'm going to put a couple in your hand.
Tastes like I remember.
Now we have sample 2.
Sample number 2.
It sounds too crunchy.
It's tricky with the...
I will say, I cannot tell any difference between the two.
And that is what our consumers said too.
These new M&Ms produced here in Hackettstown, New Jersey, but even after decades of work, 2 colors have been tougher to crack: brown and blue.
Blue is the challenge. There aren't very many blue vegetables. We're using something called spirulina. That spirulina is a tricky thing to handle at scale. But I want to reassure everybody they're not going away.
There are going to be no blue natural M&Ms, ladies and gentlemen. I'm angry about it. I'm sad about it. But that's exactly why I choose to eat just the all sugar M&Ms. If you're going to be eating M&Ms, fuck pretending like you're healthy. What are you talking about? Just eat the ordinary M&Ms, ladies and gentlemen. You know what? I'm not going to waste any time. Folks, I've had a great time covering these stories. We're going to cover our final story because I don't think very many people are going to be very happy with it. The Trump admin proposal that has come out lately would allow 401k and Roth IRA funds to be used in riskier investments. If you're unaware, the Trump administration has introduced a regulatory proposal that would allow everyday retirement savers to allocate 401k and IRA funds to higher risk alternative assets under the new Department of Labor guidelines. Employer-sponsored retirement plans could offer options that include private equity, private credit, real estate, and digital assets like cryptocurrency. They are arguing that the rule change is going to democratize investing. It's going to give working class Americans access to high yield market opportunities, previously reserved for institutional investors and the ultra wealthy. Because that's what Trump wants, is poor people pretending that they're wealthy in the United States, because that's the sign of a thriving America. It's to encourage the adoption. The proposal establishes a regulatory safe harbor designed to shield employers and plan administrators from liability lawsuits if those riskier non-traditional assets underperform. However, the initiative has drawn a lot of criticism from consumer advocacy groups and labor economists. Opponents are warning that alternative investments carry steep management fees, lack transparency, and subject nest eggs to severe volatility, potentially jeopardizing the financial security of the everyday workers preparing for retirement.
But imagine saving up all you can for retirement only to watch some of that money vanish because of investments you may not have even known were risky. A new proposal backed by President Trump would make it easier for everyday Americans to put 401k and IRA money into risky, dicier investments that include hedge funds, private equity, and cryptocurrency.
How about let him do it? He wants all of his people that are truly dedicated to him. They're like 5 that there are still out there. He wants them to pour not only the money that they've poured into the cryptocurrency. He wants fuck it. You don't need a Roth IRA. You don't need a traditional 401k. You need to tie its value to me and my son's balloon that we're going to send up into the atmosphere. And then whether or not it's going to deliver any sort of investment in the future, that's up to the winds.
Supporters, including the White House, argue this would give everyday Americans access to more investments that could maybe yield higher returns. But critics strongly argue retirement savings are exactly where people should be most protected from risk. Joining us now, Gretchen Morganson, NBC News Investigations senior financial reporter. This is a really important story that could affect millions of Americans. You've been reporting on this, and it uncovered kind of a real-life cautionary tale about what happens when a regular investor has exposure to these kind of assets. What'd you find?
Right. Christine, as this proposal rolls out, I really wanted to talk to people who had been in this situation, right? And so I found carpenters in the state of Washington whose pension and retirement accounts had been invested into extremely volatile, risky hedge funds that blew up. And they lost $250 million. And now some of those carpenters can't afford to retire. They have to work longer. So this is a real situation.
Why would private equity firms and hedge funds be interested in being able to have access to our 401ks or IRAs?
Are you retarded?
Draw for the big money on Wall Street?
Money!
The draw is it's a big pile of money that Americans have set aside for retirement. It's $30 trillion.
Ooh!
And that is a lot of fees and a lot of income for these firms. Also, don't forget, they're starting to lose institutional investors who are not investing as much in these programs and products as they had been. So they need a new pool of capital.
They want everyday average Americans to look at your company, look at your product, and go, well, I don't know too terrible much about any of this. I watched Shark Tank once or thrice. I think I have enough information to make some calls on what I want to invest my private. People are going to be sitting there with their nest eggs thinking that they're Mark Cuban, and really they're just about to lose all of their money that they've worked their entire lives for. They're like 40-something years old, 50-something years old, and they're about to pour it all into, like, I don't know, like Ronald Reagan coin or something.
There's one mighty big pool of capital.
So Main Street is a new pile of money potentially to tap. The question here isn't whether some of these investments make money. Sometimes they do. It's how risky or volatile they can be, and should people's retirement be exposed to that kind of risk? That's the big question.
It's up to them, I would say. I'd say, like, go for it if you want to try that risky.
And, you know, historically, some of these programs and products have outperformed the market, but lately they haven't. And so in addition to the fact that they are impossible to sell, very costly, very mysterious, opaque, they're kind of a black box, a lot of these things. In addition to those problems, you've got a situation where the returns are dwindling. So now is not the time, experts tell me, to dive into this area.
How did the White House, and more specifically the president, kind of get on board with this, that these risky investments for the big money Wall Street are a good idea for Main Street?
They seem to have been persuaded that this is a way to diversify. That's what they're saying. We know you can buy S&P 500 funds, but hey, how about having exposure into these other areas? It seems like that is their argument. Now, I would say that they've probably been talking to some of the firms who really know that this is something, a big pot of money that they could have some access to.
Gosh, I was always taught that boring is better, low fees are better, you know, just play it safe for the long term. That's because you only get one shot at saving for retirement.
If you want to be a loser and you don't want to pour all of your money into a meme coin, if you don't want to buy a picture of Trump holding an eagle or something like that, then, you know, if you want to be a loser who, like, doesn't put any risk out there, Columbus takes risks, you know, Magellan took risks, adventurers take risks. And, you know, some of them also die. Some of them also, they don't make it back. Some of them, their ships, you know, they sink, they become like a watery tail or whatever, and that can happen to some of these people, but you have to have risk takers in this world. You have to have the Mozarts. You have to have the rule breakers. You have to have the question askers, ladies and gentlemen. You have to have the people who listen to your brain on air. I have been Ollie Vogt Larson. I've had a wonderful time gathering these stories for you. I hope you had an even more wonderful time listening to them. And we will be back at it again for our final episode of the week tomorrow on Friday. If you'd like to be there for it, subscribe if you want more, like if you liked it, ring the bell for notifications. In the meantime, though, like I've said, I've been Ollie Vogt Larson with your brain on air. I hope you all enjoyed today's episode. I cannot wait to see you all for our final one of this week tomorrow. In the meantime, though, bye-bye.